guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee, 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 coffee.
How you doing, fellas?
Okay.
That's not decaf, is it?
Viennese cinnamon.
Yay! It's Wednesday morning. It's UFO Wednesday, and of course, our good friend Don Ecker is here. And welcome to the show.
You just told me you love me. So
I love you.
Don't just say my good friend.
I love you, Don. I should do the. I should grab capture a version of the song Delta Dawn. Delta Dawn. What's that flower you have on? And of course, we have Mr. Moncrief here.
I am more than content with what Mr. Moncrief said. His voice alone inspires one with absolute credulity.
Yeah, and of course, Keith is the one who put that up there, self-promoting.
Oh, wow. You can blame that one on me now. Okay.
So, and of course, this right hemisphere of my brain is here. Martina Costa Santana.
Hey, good morning.
Welcome to the show that lasts as long as my coffee. Don Ecker is here as our special guest. Every Wednesday, if he's able to make it, I ask him to be, yep, you've got plenty of coffee. That should last the show. Mine is 32 ounces, and for some reason, I seem to go through it pretty fucking quickly, and that annoys me. I want to say good morning to everybody in the chat. First person here was Gap After Dark. Gap After Dark is also known as the previous gap between my teeth. See it there? Yeah, there it is. Martina Costa Santana was number 2. Scott Lewis, who is not here this morning, he has to work. Das Wolfen will join us later. Monkey Jeebus will join us later. Dr. Dragon, the best Saturday morning cartoon villain name ever. D. Bud Martin is a good friend of this channel. Mr. Tickle Trunk is here too. Always good to see you, my friend. Just want to drop a hello. Well, I appreciate it, man. If you're not going to be able to stick around, that sucks, but we love you, man. Lord Thoth, all hail Lord Thoth, is here. Wajid Leakey is here. Wajid Leakey is clearly not a twat. Christopher and Carol is here. Good morning. Glenn Fleming. I don't know why, but I always want to ask him, are you related to Ian? Just one. And of course, that is it for now. Hopefully, Annabelle will show up, but she's had a rough night and she's been at work. She got stuck at work today. She works at one of those typical European hostels. Not the ones that cut people up into pieces like they did in the movies, Hostel 1, 2, 3, and 4. Dork Knight is here. Good morning, Dork. How you doing, my friend? There's Anima. Yeah, I told you she was stuck at work. She is at the, that's good to hear, babe. Thank you. Good morning. Love you. Now, you're going to hear things about me saying I love Dawn. It's a different kind of love, honey. It's not the same love I share with you. Okay. I hope she can get off work and join us for the after show. Dork Knight says, doing well, just taking the kiddo to school. Awesome, buddy. Glad you're doing it, man. Being a good dad. Awesome dad. I'm going to backdoor love. I'm going to bitch just minimally today because I'm grateful for the work I've gotten to do. And I was grateful to get asked to do a G.I. Joe cover. My G.I. Joe cover, this is the uncolored artwork. I'm not fond of the colorist that worked on my cover. I could have done better, and I wish they had let me go ahead and color my own work. That is my homage to Captain America punching Hitler. And I take a lot of pride in coming up with this idea. I'm the first G.I. Joe artist to do it. But somehow, within 2 months of my book being published, this happens. Front and center. Duke punching Cobra Commander. They took off the shattered face shield and stuff, and they changed the pose on Duke to look more like Captain America's pose, which I was trying not to do. I don't want to copy other people's artwork. But that was my idea, and I got no love for it. I got no mention. And I don't care about pay, because it's paid work. I was, what do they call that? Pay for hire. But I'm the first one that came up with that idea, and within 2 issues, that pretty much removes it being a coincidence. Oh, accidental. No, they liked my cover, and someone said, "Hey, see that asshole we don't like? Use his artwork." And it is drawn by a traditional G.I. Joe artist. So I think it's a wonderful piece. It's got everybody in there. But that really threw me for a loop when I saw my idea being used on somebody else's. But a lot of people don't know the work that I've done with IDW. I went uncredited for a lot of stuff. I was like a script doctor, but with artwork. And I designed logos, all sorts of stuff for many of their publications. And I get no credit for it. I don't care. I really don't care. I got paid.
I give you credit, Gerry.
You give me credit. I just feel like it's too close to my artwork for it to be a coincidence. And it just sort of irked me a little. It's like bothered me about that much. But past that, it's a great cover. I'm proud to be one of the G.I. Joe artists. I still haven't gotten any of my copies of the book I did the cover for. I keep telling Tom, and I get nothing back. I'm not sure what the heck's going on over there. So if I do any prints for the Comic-Con this weekend, they're going to be mine. I'm going to do just the covers, my colors, as well as prints with it in black and white. So, and we do have a con this weekend, Don.
Yeah, I've heard.
It's going to be fun. Keith and I are going to be there, but we heard Matt Decker is going to be there. You'll see him as what is his name that he goes under here? Try something like in the number 3.
Yeah, try.
I should never ask Keith. Keith never fucking knows what the fuck I'm asking him about.
Normally I would be asleep by now.
I know.
You should be happy that I'm just responding.
Hold on. This version looks like Duke didn't even connect with Cobra Commander. I know. Well, that's what the original Captain America was. The action lines that Kirby drew were what were going through Hitler's head. The action lines were showing that he punched through him. Mm-hmm. So, but they didn't even get that right. So, I don't know.
Look, it's never a bad thing to echo back to Jack Kirby.
I will never wear a man bun, but I wear a ponytail because I am the comic book guy. Worst ponytail ever. So let's get down to the crux of this. I was really floored by this, Don.
Now, wait a minute. Whoa. Before we get started,
okay,
ask me, Don, what have you been up to?
Oh, shit. Hey, Don, what have you been up to since we saw you last Wednesday?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Gerry. We're getting upwards to my favorite time of the year, Halloween. Even at my age, I've I've loved Halloween my entire life. Vicky loves Halloween. And hell, we even get, we used to, we didn't last year, but we even get dressed up for the Halloween, the trick-or-treaters that stop by the house.
Oh.
So anyway, when we were doing UFO magazine for years, okay, as a way to kind of break away from the crap, I get into the habit of writing short stories, okay? And I really find it relaxing. I can purge, as Vicky psychoanalyzed me yesterday, purge the remaining rage in me through my writings. She blames when I was a cop and in Vietnam for a lot of that. I don't know. It may be true. But I went through my archives and I started pulling out some of my short horror stories, okay? Now, in full disclosure, I haven't done any writing in a while. But I found one of my favorites called Uncle Dave that I wrote a few years ago. And I really, really dug that. And I hadn't read it in a while. I mean, I wrote it, but I hadn't read it in a while. So the other day I read it, and I got to tell you, Gerry, now this is going to sound self-serving and bullshit, but it's true. There are parts of that story that I wrote that still to this day gives me chills. So I notified a number of people. You, of course, were one of them. And I said, hey, we're getting up on Halloween. I've got some of these short stories. If you're interested, I'd be happy to send it to you. And it's all in the spirit of the holiday. Well, I suddenly got the urge. And this story is open-ended, Gerry. When you finally read it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And yesterday, I started writing an addendum to this thing.
Uh-oh.
And it really flowed. And I got to tell you, if I wasn't doing the show right now, I'd be working on that. Yeah.
Well, I'll make the show just a little shorter today, just an hour and a half. And or we can make it an hour. That way you can do the after show, because I know everybody wants to talk to you.
They do?
Yeah, people fucking love you, man. They
yeah,
love you.
You are popular.
And
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And what's funny is we get less views on Wednesday, but I think that's because it requires a dedicated audience, and that will grow over time. Because I really want people that are into UFOs watching this show on Wednesdays, or any of the crypto stuff too. Send me your stuff, Don. I'll read it. That's Anima Confusa.
Anima!
Yep, she's still at work, but Mexican Iron Man gave us $15. He, of course, is our executive producer for the show. Hello to the great Don Ecker. I was talking about you with Doomcock the other day, and he says, hi. We're huge fans of Mr. Ecker, and thank you, Mr. Ecker, for all your great work over the years.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you.
That's our good friend Mikey. And high praise indeed. I invited him to join us today if he wants to join us. It's in the private chat, Mikey. You'll have to go to private on Twitter, and you'll see I sent you an invite so you can actually talk to him today if you want to. Again, thank you for the $15 super chat. For that, I'm going to play you a new video. What video am I going to play? Let's see. What do I want to play? How about my favorite morning show introduction? Here you go.
Well, good morning, Captain.
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 Good morning.
Good morning, Captain. Come on out and play. Wake up, the sun's...
All right, that's long enough. CBS owns that, and they will fucking mess with us. So, But that one was for you, Mikey. Good morning, Captain. My captain. And now, Don, to talk more about what you're working on, I also offered him me doing the cover and him self-publishing. Fuck publishers. Self-publish that fucking Halloween horror stories, that anthology. I'd love to see that. Yeah, Mikey, like I said, look in your oh, wait, you messaged me back. Never mind, I'm reading your message now. Do you want me to read it out loud? Okay, sounds good, Mikey. I'll talk to you tomorrow. He can't. He's in the middle of he's a tax expert, legal tax expert. And this is a busy time of year for him. What are your... Oh, you asked this last time, Glenn. What are your thoughts? Seriously, Martin? What are you... I say, start to read the question, say who it is, and then you fucking move on, man. You are faster than my own fucking brain. What are your thoughts about Fred Lee Chrisman being one of the tramps in Dealey Plaza?
Well, that's a guy that has a fascinating backstory, okay? First off, Dealey Plaza, one of the tramps. I don't know. I consider it possible. Now, Chrisman was involved in intelligence operations back in the 40s. He it's a little known fact, but I don't know if he was a contractor, if he actually was part of the original OSS, later the CIA. But the guy was a weird cat. He, as a matter of fact, was one of the primaries in one of the first hugely reported UFO cases up in Washington State, okay, where he and a couple of people and supposedly his dog were on a small boat, a small craft, when a unidentified flying object, a flying saucer, a disc, a bogey, allegedly flew over them, dumping slag out of the UFO that supposedly struck the boat, killed the dog.
I've heard this one before.
Yeah. But
that was him?
Yeah. Now look, the whole Kennedy assassination thing, that is so wonky. There's so many ins and outs, so many facets to that. We'll never truly know the truth. Do I think the mob was involved in that? Oh yeah, I do. Do I think the CIA was involved in that? Oh yeah, I do. Some little known facts that a lot of people may have heard in passing, they forgot about it, whatever. The Chicago mob, Sam Giancana, okay, was instrumental in JFK winning the presidency.
Yep.
His
Joe
old man,
Kennedy worked out the deal.
Joe Kennedy, Kennedy's old man, who was a bootlegger and a gangster in his own damned right.
Yep.
Okay. Worked out a deal. Then after Jack became the president and he made Bobby the attorney general, for whatever reason, Bobby started going after the mob. I don't know what that was all about, but he did. And the mob felt betrayed, okay? After all, the mayor of Chicago, the mob, they even went out to the cemeteries and got the dead to rise so they could vote for Jack Kennedy. Okay. You know what I'm saying, Gerry. You know what I'm saying. So, yeah. Now, Chrisman definitely had ties with the Central Intelligence Agency. Whether he was an actual agent or a member or a contractor or whatever he was, he definitely could very well have been involved in the assassination. You know, originally, Kennedy was supposed to be assassinated in Miami before Dallas. Did you know that?
No.
He was traveling to Florida. And so they say an assassination attempt had been set up for Jack. Now, why would and this is all history that most people today are completely ignorant of. Why would Jack have been targeted for assassination? Well, you get a lot of conspiracy theories about that, not the least of which he was going to smash the CIA into 1,000 pieces. Okay, they were pissed off about what the CIA had gone rogue. All right, they were going into country. They were overthrowing governments. All kinds of stuff was going on. Hell, even the assassination of President Diem in Vietnam, which Kennedy had started sending military advisors and special forces to. There was an ongoing special operations gig happening in Laos, okay, which was called White Star, where special forces had been sent in there to engage the North Vietnamese communists who were going through there. And of course, the Viet Cong at that time was running rampant all over South Vietnam. Special forces had been sent in there to try to contain it. And actually, up until about 1964-65, they had done a pretty damn good job. But after Jack was murdered, excuse me, things changed. Now, why might he have been murdered? Well, the fact that he allegedly intended to totally turn the CIA upside down is one thing. Another conspiracy theory had to do with the Fed, okay, the banking, the federal banking. He was going to go in there supposedly and make some changes. But the biggest thing, okay, and this involved the Cuban American population, especially down in the Southeast in Florida. The CIA had orchestrated an invasion of Cuba using Cubans that had fled communist Cuba to come up to here. Okay. The Bay of Pigs invasion, which damn near could have resulted in nuclear war. Okay. A lot of people today don't recall that, the Cuban Missile Crisis. So, one of the things that Kennedy did, and today this is almost totally forgotten, the Cubans via the CIA had purchased some World War II bombers that were stationed and based down in Central America.
Yep.
When the invasion began, these bombers, loaded with bombs, were supposed to take off, overfly the invasion site, and bomb the hell out of the Cuban communists. Jack Kennedy refused to let them take off. Now, why? I'm not sure. Probably because at that time, Cuba was a Soviet client state. Okay. Castro had gone full bore commie. He was best buds with Nikita Khrushchev. And Kennedy might have been afraid of this escalating into something that he couldn't handle. And as it was, the Cuban Missile Crisis, we came damn near to launching and being launched on. Thank God cooler heads prevailed, because who knows what. I can remember as a kid in junior high school at the time when that happened. And my dad, who was in the reserves then, got called up. Nobody knew what the hell was going to happen. And we all thought within a week, 2 weeks, whatever, we were going to be at war. But Jack Kennedy stopped that. So suddenly, the extreme right in this country and the CIA then, unlike today they're so goddamn politicized, it's disgusting.
Yep.
But at that time, they were extraordinarily right-wing. And with the mob, don't forget, the CIA had contracted with the mob to send assassins down to knock off Fidel Castro.
Yeah, they kind of touch on that in that movie about Ruby, which is a fictionalized story, that he was one of those people sent to Cuba to help try to assassinate Fidel Castro.
And they had some wonky goddamn plans, okay, including Castro was a big cigar smoker then, including putting poison in his cigars to knock him off.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Kennedy, well, he stepped back from all that, and he pissed off a lot of people.
Yes, he did. He pissed a lot of people off because they wanted to retake Cuba. They thought they had it. The CIA had moved in with their Cuban expats to lead the way, and then they got cut off by Kennedy.
Yeah.
And he just simply goes, nope, not going to support it.
So somebody decided he had to go.
Yeah, and the way I've always seen it, Don, was that I don't think the CIA actively participated. I think they passively participated in it. They let Sam Giancana, who had a personal grudge against the Kennedy family because of him helping get John elected, and then having Bobby turn on him and his cronies, that it was seen that the Kennedy boys had to go. And I think they successfully did it. I never thought Sirhan was some radicalized lunatic that did this of his own volition. I believe
you want to hear a little something about Sirhan?
Sure, man.
1, 2, 3. I'm 3 degrees of separation from Sirhan.
Oh shit. 3 degrees of Don Ecker.
3 degrees of separation. My lovely bride, Vicky, her uncle, Grant Cooper, Vicky's dad's brother, was a big time mob lawyer here in LA. And he ended up, now think about the twists and turns in this. Mob lawyer, which might suggest what else? The mob, the CIA. He ended up defending Sirhan after Sirhan whacked Bobby out here at the Ambassador Hotel.
Holy shit. Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, Vicky, and it's in her office. Hang on. She must have the door closed. Has a Look magazine with the cover of her Uncle Grant and Sirhan on the cover. And Sirhan always maintained he had absolutely no knowledge of what he supposedly did. Now, If that's true, what does that possibly suggest?
Oh yeah, LSD, other
MK
alternating drugs.
Ultra,
MK Ultra,
artichoke. I mean, and we did in UFO magazine, we did a lot of articles on the CIA mind control process that was ongoing in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Do you remember the church committee hearings?
Yeah.
In the CIA assassination guns and all that kind of crap. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So myself, I personally think Sirhan was a programmed killer. I think he was a mind
I have no
control
doubt you're right. I have absolutely no doubt you're right.
And I think Grant Cooper, knew more about that crap than was good for him. So it's hard to say. He's dead now, by the way. Obviously, he's dead.
Yeah, well. And Monkey Jeebus says, my friend's girlfriend's grandfather was a mobster on Star Trek. I'm assuming, are you talking about Vic Tabak or the other guy? My uncle was working for CBS the night RFK was shot and was stuck at the Ambassador Hotel the whole night. Wow. A lot of connections, man. By the way, Penny, we love you too. She sent special love to you, Don, in the chat.
Thank you.
That is Dork Knight's mom. Anima is still stuck at work. Her boss is still a no-show. His flight hasn't arrived.
No, if you look that up online, Gary, you'll see Grant Cooper.
Well, I'm going to look a lot of this up because, look, I've always believed that the CIA didn't want a direct connection, so they passively looked the other way with a lot of that shit. I think that they wanted a hands-off thing with Kennedy's assassination. But I know that I really absolutely 100% believe they were fully aware of what was happening and who did it.
Yeah.
I believe that Lee Harvey was a patsy and that those shots were fired in a triangulation.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt. I've often thought about that. And I thought, now I've never been to Dallas, but I've looked at the street maps. I've looked at overhead aerial views. And I thought to myself, if I wanted to set up that assassination, how would I do it? And you're right, triangular snipers is the way to go.
Yeah.
And
that way you're guaranteed at least one will hit.
And do I believe that Oswald used that Italian Carcano rifle? What a piece of shit they were.
It's a garbage rifle. On top of that, the reason why he freaked out was, look, Lee Harvey Oswald was fully aware of what was happening. He just had no idea that he was going to be the one intentionally left holding the bag. And once he realized what they were doing, he tried to get the fuck out of there.
Hey, look at
and he
Oswald's
was assassinated.
Background. Look at his background.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, he had been in Russia, living in Russia. In the early 60s, for Christ's sakes. Russia, our most deadly lethal enemy at that time. And he goes over there, he meets a girl, he marries her, then he brings her back to the States.
All staged. It was all staged.
Anything about what the hell was happening then, that is beyond the pale.
Sadly, this has nothing to do with politics. This is all about vendettas and power control. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It's not like a right-wing conspiracy, left-wing conspiracy. This was a conspiracy to remove somebody out of revenge and to move forward with the Vietnam War, because there was a lot of companies that wanted to make money off that war. And Johnson, Johnson was their boy.
Oh, Johnson was. But let's face it, if you get right down to it, Jack Kennedy was a pretty despicable guy. And this has nothing to do with politics or anything else. as a human being. He was a pretty despicable guy. And his health at the time, the guy wouldn't have probably lasted many years more.
No, he was a sickly child. That's why Joe pinned his older brother as being the political figure for the family.
Joe, yeah. Joe Jr. Joe Jr.
But when Joe Jr. died in the war, and Kennedy ended up being hailed a hero with PT 109, Joe had to switch gears. And Bobby was definitely not the guy, and Teddy was never the guy.
What a piece of shit he was.
Even Joe was like, no, son, I don't want you to go into politics. He didn't want Teddy to go into politics. He thought it would be exactly what it was, a mess. But I'm looking up Fleming because our friend Glenn Fleming in the chat says, read my books about it. And so now I'm going to go look up the books. Glenn Fleming. What book am I looking for, Glenn? Kennedy assassination? I'm looking up. Amazon doesn't like your old link. They killed your link. That's weird.
Hold on.
The president is an important title, but can be replaced. They want the illusion of royalty. The Two Faces of Lee Harvey Oswald. Okay, I'm looking that up. I could talk about this all fucking day.
Yeah.
Really, because just everything. Ruby being down there in that fucking tunnel and just in front of everybody.
I saw that as it actually happened. I had just gotten home. It was on a Sunday. I had just gotten home from church. I was a church-going fool back in those days. And I was at my grandparents' home, and I turned on the tube because, that weekend it was wall-to-wall coverage. There was nothing on except stuff about the assassination. And they showed the Dallas detectives bringing Oswald out. They were going to take him somewhere. Somebody had beat the hell out of him. Okay, those Dallas cops had worked him over really good. And suddenly, Jack Ruby shot out of the crowd. And I saw this. Shoved something into his gut, which was a pistol, and pulled the trigger. And that was the end of Lee.
Yeah, and he'd already been talking, telling things that, and of course, amazingly, and he gets called a crackpot, but that attorney, I forgot his name, they make the movie JFK about, is the only legal figure to ever bring anybody to trial for the death of John F. Kennedy. And there was something to what he was fucking talking about.
Yeah.
But they like to play it off like it's
You talking about the guy in New Orleans?
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
But it's a good film, and I'm not a big fan of Oliver Stone. He's a commie. Big supporter of Cuba and Che Guevara. And so therefore a shitheel to me. But I do love the film JFK. And again, Dale Dye, my boss, is in it. You can actually play 6 Degrees of Separation instead of with Kevin Bacon, but with me because of my work through Dale Dye, because there are so many actors directly connected to him. So I can connect within 6 to almost anybody in Hollywood.
Keith?
So
Keith's
scored out. Hey, Keith, buddy, man, get the hay, dude. You've stayed up long enough. You served this country well enough, my friend.
I
just love having you here, man. But if you're tired, man, go hit the hay.
Go get 40 winks, Keith.
I will
do it for anima.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, everybody, do yourself some good. Keep listening to these guys, and also check out a lot of the. Look, every single person that you guys talk about has incredible listings that you can find when you Google their names. Look up all the books, look up all the novels, educate yourself, be entertained, but also be informed. And I will see you all later.
Be
All
good,
right, buddy.
brother.
And in your name, I play this video.
This town needs an enema.
There you go, buddy. I'll see you later, man. Get some rest, please. I didn't even bother him on Monday. I just said, no, let him sleep in. I'm not going to bug him today. So get out of here, Keith. Go on. Get skedaddle. So I'm going to show the book that Glenn wrote. Again, Glenn, I'm asking, are you related to Ian Fleming? Share screen. Here it is. The Two Faces of Lee Harvey Oswald, Kindle edition by, well, it's got paperback too. You can get the paperback or get the Kindle edition for $3.99. And there you go. Let's see what other books you have there. Come on. I'm clicking on you. Come on, Amazon. Don't be a complete douche. It's not going to go to your page. It's just going to show your name. There, it tells you you can visit there. There we go. Now we're talking. Good stuff, man. Men's Room. Oh, my God. What are you, a perv? Jesus.
Smoking
Glenn.
in the boys' room.
S-172. Here's the other one I was looking for. Lee Harvey Oswald's links to intelligence agencies. This is actually the one I'd heard about, Glenn. And it's cool to know that you're the author of this book, and I know this book. So there you go, buddy. I almost would like to have you on, but it's UFO Wednesday, so we'll have to save you for another day. So here we are. We are 42 minutes into the show, and I haven't talked about UFOs once.
Well, you know, we got sidetracked. There's so much.
Look, this is good shit, man. It really is.
With the Kennedy assassination, don't forget another name that's connected to that was an internationally renowned TV personality, interviewer, author, I believe, Dorothy Kilgallen. Who?
Yes, Dorothy Kilgallen.
Went down and interviewed Jack Ruby. After that was all said and done, now don't forget, Ruby was dealing with cancer then. Turned out to be terminal. That may have been one of the reasons that he was picked to do the job on Oswald.
Because it's what I've always assumed is that he was already dying and he was probably promised money to his family that they'd be taken care of.
And Kilgallen left that interview at the jail, went back home, called her producer, and said, I am going to blow the lid off this whole Kennedy thing tomorrow. You wait. And guess what?
She should have done it right then and there.
That night, she was dead.
Yep.
Somebody whacked Dorothy Kilgallen. So the tendrils were long and sharp. You know, John Keel was an interested researcher in the whole Kennedy thing. And I'll never forget one time when I was talking to Keel on the phone, and he said, we were talking about UFOs. We were talking about Mothman, his Mothman book. Okay.
Right.
And all the weird, wonky stuff that was happening, the Men in Black, the way he was being screwed with, Keel was being screwed with. And he said, well, you know, he said, there's nothing in the world that can touch the Kennedy assassination. And I said, what do you mean, John? He said, do you know how many people involved with that assassination ended up dead? And I said, no, because I really didn't. And he said, there have been at least 200 people that have been involved in one way or another with the Kennedy assassination, and they're all gone now. Now, this would have been about 19...
That's the truth about a conspiracy, because in order to keep a conspiracy secret, everybody has to die, except for one.
Yeah. And this would have been about 1991, okay, when I was talking to him. So this was the same time that my buddy, TV star Richard Saraday, okay, was leaving acting, and Richie wanted to get into producing, and I met Rich, and Rich was fascinated by the whole UFO thing. We became brothers, all right? Rich and I ended up becoming brothers, and we went on some real odysseys. That was the guy that I told you about that went to Vegas with me to see those photos.
Oh, yeah,
Remember that? Rich said, hey, he said, you gave me the Mothman prophecies to read. He said, God, would I think that would make a hell of a movie? He said, you know Keel, right? And I said, well, yeah. He said, call him up. I want to talk to him. So I did. So I called John Keel up, and I introduced Rich. He got on the phone with him, and he was talking. And Keel, this was before, a number of years later, the Mothman movie came out. All right. Keel could not have been less interested when Rich talked to him. Now, Rich was a goddamn name, okay? And I thought, oh, Jesus. Now, John Keel was, and I'll be very honest, I liked him, but he was an acquired taste, okay? John was an acquired taste, and he could be so laissez-faire about stuff. But Rich didn't get anywhere with him. So I said, okay, well, you know, what the hell? You throw a lot of spaghetti on the wall. Sometimes it'll stick. Sometimes it won't. And obviously this time it didn't stick. But yeah, Keel, he was not somebody that wanted to get too deeply involved with JFK.
I'm sorry, the chat is becoming ridiculous with Monkey Jeebus. What bathroom stories? The one where he has touched the guy's neck when he was taking a bath and freaked him out? Wait, was Don the cop that pointed Gerry to the bathroom where the dead guy was?
Yeah.
And Anima threatens, she says, you trying to get a timeout, monkey?
to be honest, your best bathroom story is with the guy.
I don't know if you've ever heard any of my fucked up bathroom stories when I was a kid. My dad even talked about it once. He says, I don't know what it is with you in bathrooms, boy. You need to avoid them at all cost. Just so many fucking weird things have happened to me since I was a kid in bathrooms. Nothing creepy, just fucking weird. In 1966, the Sunday Times paper determined that the chances of those mysterious deaths of JFK witnesses, about 50 at the time, happened only 3 years after JFK was over 1 trillion to 1. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But I am going to move us towards aliens because some news hit that really kind of floored me, to be honest, because the Air Force, we know that the Air Force has been in cahoots with CIA, and both the CIA and Air Force are in cahoots with NASA.
Don't forget NSA, bud.
Oh, NSA. Well, I don't care too much about NSA because NSA is really, that is the nerds of the intelligence community.
Really?
Because they don't have operatives that work same way. From my experiences, no. The NSA is the nerds that work.
Who do you think I worked for in NAM?
Well, I'm assuming military intel or CIA, which are often the same thing. NSA.
We were an arm of the NSA. We were not Department of the Army. The Army Security Agency. We were an arm of the National Security Agency. Little known fact, but that's true. Okay? All the stuff we were doing was filtering back up the pipeline to NSA. And back in those days, hardly anybody even knew there was an NSA.
That's interesting because, like, in the years I was in, the NSA were like geeks. They were mostly computer guys, because it seemed like their big move was to begin the process of watching through technology.
Yeah, well, they certainly used the technology. About 25 years ago, I was told, now this was when Vicki and I were publishing the magazine.
Right.
I was told, well, there was a young woman that had been in the Air Force, and she got her, well, I don't want to be gross, but she ended up getting her boob in a ringer. I was going to say her tit in a ringer, but that probably wouldn't fly. So I'll say her boob in the ringer.
Okay.
She was in communications. Okay. And I'd have to go back and check. Oh, hang on, honey. Bring me out your Uncle Grant's cover of that magazine with Sirhan. Well, if you can find it in your, yeah, I was talking about that to Gerry in the audience. Yeah, Sirhan. So anyway, this was the story. A flight of unidentified spacecraft was picked up entering the solar system. Okay. The communiques were coming through, and she saw this, and she grabbed one of the carbons and snuck it out. Now that part is proven. That happened. Okay. Well, Gerry, you and I know that the intelligence wonks keep a close eye. Now, of course, this is back in the days when they still use carbon. They probably don't use it anymore.
Because of shit like that. Yeah.
Right. She walked out with it and she showed it to some people. And she ended up getting nailed. Okay. And was released from the Air Force. And they threatened to put her in federal prison. Now, I've interviewed this girl, okay, several times. I knew her. She lived up in Chicago, and I haven't had any communication with her in, God, I couldn't tell you how many years. It's been a long time. But it was an supposedly NSA operation that detected those objects entering the solar system. And they were on a course toward our planet. So take that for what it's worth, okay? I wasn't there. So I can only tell you what I know happened from back in the day. Yeah.
So this all leads, D-Bud's leaving right now. I hope you have a good day, man. I'm trying to see if I missed anybody. Let me go back. Penny, of course. Good morning, Penny. That is Dork Knight's mom. Stone Pie Media, my buddy Matt. Fletcher Williams, good morning. CJ Bat Punk, who I accidentally called Bat Spunk one day, which was funny. Magitech Mags. And it's good to see all y'all here today. I'm going to get started into this story because the reason I find this so odd is because they're talking openly about national security information. And they're confirming the existence. The Navy is confirming the existence of more footage that will never be seen. That's more than anybody in the Department of Defense has ever said. I mean, Air Force is denied it. The Project Blue Book was there for one reason and one reason only, to debunk every fucking investigation. But it led to Hynek breaking off and going, no, this stuff is real. And I learned it from fucking investigating it. But
you know why Hynek did that, right?
No,
you
I
know
don't
why
know.
Hynek did that? In 1966, at Hillsdale College up in Michigan, there was an amazing series of sightings of UFOs at a college up there. Police got involved. Eventually, Air Force sent down Project Blue Book investigators. Hynek was a civilian astronomy consultant that was the public face of Blue Book. He went down there. The month of March, 1966, Hillsdale College, Michigan. So, what's that tell you? It's still pretty cold, pretty crappy weather, right?
Right.
Hynek was forced to come out by the Air Force with an explanation. And he said, well, it's possible that it was swamp gas, decaying vegetation, putting off fluorescent light. And newspapers all across the United States reported that. They turned J. Allen Hynek into a national laughingstock.
Yep.
Hynek ended up being humiliated. And then he started thinking about, well, you know what? I went into this knowing that I was going to be a mouthpiece for the Air Force. Initially, I didn't know how they were going to direct and produce me. This happened, and I've had enough. Now,
I get it. Yeah.
He ended up leaving, right? Then he came out as a pro UFO proponent. But in the early 90s, and this is another aspect that we're going to have to get into on another show. Do you recognize the name Bill Moore?
Bill Moore. No, I do not.
William Moore. Well, William Moore was a UFO researcher. He was an author. He was a public speaker in the 80s. He was one of the leading personalities in the UFO field. Moore wrote the first book on Roswell, called Roswell. Came out in 1980.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I
let me
recognize
tell
him
you-
now. I'm looking stuff up on him, and I know this guy. Yeah.
He ended up being a shill for military intelligence. Okay. He admitted it in 1989 at the International UFO Symposium put on by MUFON in Las Vegas. And buddy, that is a topic all by itself. That's where I first spoke at MUFON on my research on human mutilations, which is another whole shtick, okay? For 3 years, I was chasing down human mutes. Well, Moore admitted that he had disinformed another UFO researcher by the name of Paul Benowitz, who was a civilian scientist, okay, by giving him doctored phony documents given to Moore to give Benowitz by AFOSI. That created a scandal that lasted for years. Now, Moore, like I said, had been one of the leading lights up to that point of the UFO, personalities. I interviewed him about 93 or 94. I knew Moore. Okay. Moore was located out here. And, oh, Jesus, I could go into a lot of areas about that guy. But the bottom line
the reason I know him is because of the other thing that he worked on, which was the Philadelphia experiment invisibility test. Because that's where I knew him from. I had no idea he wrote that Roswell book. That is so cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was reporting. He was a member of APRO. Do you know what APRO was?
No, I do not.
The
What is that?
The Aerial Phenomena Research Organization.
Oh,
the first civilian UFO organization.
yeah, because he's categorized as an actual ufologist.
Right. The first civilian organization begun by Jim and Coral Lorenzen back in the early 50s. All right. And they had been surveilled all those years by intelligence organizations. A lot of reasons why they would have been, but well, hell, oh, Gerry, this is such a mishmash of information. But in 81, okay, Moore was reporting back to his government handlers on what APRO was doing, was taking documents out of their files. Okay. You know, they were the oldest UFO reporting organization. They had a lot of academics, a lot of PhDs involved, doing research for them. The government wanted to know what the hell was going on. As a matter of fact, you could even put my Disney symposium I put on
as
in Orlando.
Disinformation. Yeah, to
in
attempt
that
at
camp.
disinformation. Yep.
Yeah.
And I do want to point out something here, and I'm going to read it exactly. It was at the 1989 MUFON conference. That's the Mutual UFO Network. Moore claimed that he had been engaged in disinformation activities specifically against Paul Benowitz on behalf of the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. Now, I'm going to tell you, Blue Book was the public name for what was going on with the Air Force. The reason it disappeared in the late 60s because they were done. They did the damage that they needed to do, but everybody acts like, well, they dissolved what they were doing. No, they continued doing what they were doing. They did it through the Office of Investigations. Blue Book was just an office node set off from the main office. That's all it was. It was there for public relations and public relations only. And once they didn't have a need for it anymore, and I know you're going to confirm what I'm saying, they still continued what the U.S. Air Force does, is hide these investigations as dismissed, but in fact, they're not dismissed. They are legitimate cases that they continue keeping secret and or using disinformation to do damage to them. Right. And Moore became complicit in this. Now, I'm curious, his complicity, was he bought or was he threatened into doing this? What the fuck happened?
No. Okay, honey, that's fine. Thank you.
Gerry says thank you.
Gerry says thank you. So anyway, why did he do it? Well, I'll tell you what he said. Okay, this is why he did it. No, he denied ever receiving as much as $1 from them. No, he was never threatened, only threatened by taking information away from him or refusing to give him information. He did it for one reason. He said he wanted to get to the middle of the beehive to find out what was really going on. He thought, and he was an arrogant.
He thought he was getting doors open to him by doing it.
Exactly. He was such an arrogant man. He thought he had the hammer over them when in fact they had a hammer over him.
And what sucks is the damage he did and the people he hurt doing it.
You should have been there in 89 during his speech. I was there. And let me tell you what, that audience was ready to string him up.
What stopped them?
It was pure chaos. What stopped them? What the hell's stopping people now from demonstrating in the streets over gas and grocery prices? Bailey.
Self-control.
My bagel. Did you hear?
Yeah. Bailey the Beagle. So, and this goes right back into this story. I want to bring this back up. So, classified UFO videos would harm national security if released, the Navy says. Now, I know Don and I have joked, fuck the Navy, but the fact is I believe that these videos show more than just the Tic Tacs. I think there was activity. And I think that activity was combat. And that's why some of the footage isn't shown. And I think that the videos show how ineffective our combat is against them.
Oh, if it ever broke into open warfare, which there's, I mean, my God, they've had centuries if that's their purpose, and it obviously never happened, at least not overtly. We wouldn't stand a chance. Are you familiar with the name Mark D'Antonio?
What's he related to? And then I'll know.
Well, he's the lead audio-visual guy. Oh, hang on.
Bailey's losing it.
So anyway, D'Antonio worked as a civilian consultant with the Navy, okay, on a number of different projects. Well, he was on board, fully military sanctioned. He was on board doing something on a nuclear submarine. They were out at sea, okay, and he was up by the sonar station when suddenly the sonar operator, and I've never been on a Navy submarine, so I'm only going by what Mark told me. The sonar man detected an object in the water. He called the officer of the day or whatever. They were tracking an object underwater traveling in excess of 150 kilometers per hour in the water, underwater. And the officer came up, and the sonar operator, according to Mark, said, well, what do I do? He said, just log it and forget it. We have another fast mover. And that's how they were referred to, as a fast mover. But think about that. An object underwater traveling 150 kilometers plus per hour underwater.
Yeah, because nothing moves that fast underwater. Nothing can because of the resistance.
Unless the resistance doesn't
matter anymore once you begin folding. Yeah, once you begin folding space or disbursement or bubbles.
A USO, an unidentified submersible object, which those Tic Tacs are reported to have done.
Exactly. Now I need to respond to some stuff. Yes, it was a good film. It's a good film. I think it's the best film of the year so far. But I will tell you, absolutely, they stole the third act from Star Wars. It is Star Wars. The entire third act is Star Wars. That is the attack on the Death Star. They were inspired by it. They admit it. And that's why I refer to Maverick as the best Star Wars film we've seen since 1981. And I will also tell you, look, the only thing that's actually really unrealistic about what they did, no naval aviator would fly under a bridge. Actually, no fucking fighter pilot would fly under a bridge unless there was absolutely no other way around it. Going under bridges is dangerous, and it was put there for dramatic purposes only. and that was about it. Everything else there is based on real naval flight technology and training. I sat down and watched an entire 4-hour discussion about a 2-hour movie with naval aviators, past and current. And all of them had nothing but praise for that film, in that every single one of them said almost every single move except for the bridge scene, one of them had done. So it's not unrealistic when you hear something like that. So it's a fun film. Nobody would actually do an attack that way, but that's Star Wars. That's the unrealistic part, is that attack is silly the way they did it. But at the same time, fucking cool, because it's Star Wars. So there you go, Kingsport Cal. That's my fucking opinion on that. Going back to this, I want to read some of this stuff, because again, the amazing thing here is that the Navy is admitting to the existence of more footage of these fucking Tic Tacs. And you hear it on the one video that there was a swarm of them. And in an interview, that aviator said there was like 30 or 50 of them total that they spotted in the air. So then we hear this. The U.S. Navy holds unseen videos of unidentified flying objects, UFOs, not just UAPs. Once it's determined that it's solid, it becomes an actual UFO. Every UFO is a UAP, but not every UAP is a UFO. Right, Don?
Right.
Yeah. So, or as they refer to them too as UAPs, as the Department of Defense, DoD prefers to call them, but will not release the footage publicly because it would harm national security. The Navy spokesperson wrote on Wednesday, September 7th this year. The admission came in response to a Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, request filed by the government transparency site, The Black Vault, which has previously shared thousands of pages of UFO-related documents received via FOIA requests to the CIA and other government agencies. The Black Vault filed the FOIA or FOIA, whatever you want to call it, request to the U.S. Navy in April 2020, just one day after the Navy declassified 3 now famous or infamous videos shot by Navy pilots showing high-tech aircraft moving in seemingly impossible ways. The Black Vault requests that the Navy now turn over any and all other videos related to UAP. More than 2 years later, the government responded with a letter that both confirmed that the UAP videos exist, and that's big. That's big news. They're admitting it, they're real. And that's the entire Department of Defense, not just the Navy. That's the Department of Defense admitting it exists by releasing these, saying that they do exist. The Navy also confirms more footage exists. And I am curious, Don, what is this footage? Why don't they want to show it? And it has to be with interactivity. There has to be activity going on, contact going on between these vehicles. And my big concern is that we try firing on it.
Means and methods, and perhaps the technology that the UAPs are demonstrating, okay, is the only thing that makes sense to me. And means and methods. Let's face it, Commander Fravor, okay, one of the original witnesses to this, flying an F-18 Hornet or a Super Hornet back in 2004, November 2004, that basically captured the first footage of those objects, said, in essence, they demonstrated technology that we didn't have a hope to touch. Okay, they outflew them. They disappeared in an eye blink. I forget now, was it the Princeton, the Navy radar ship that was with that battle group, observed these objects coming down from 80,000 feet within a matter of a second or two to the surface of the ocean just that fast. Now, if that's true, what hope would there be to have anything to do with that? What hope? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Glenn, I don't see any messages from you on Twitter. Are you sending it to my personal or the Pop Culture Minefield? Because I don't see you on Pop Culture Minefield. Let me go look on my personal. And I'm not seeing you on there either.
On Facebook.
My personal or on the PCM page? Let me go. I'll just open up PCM page and see. But I am curious what that contact is. I don't think we'll ever fucking find out. I don't think we'll ever know. But I do want to say hi to War Monkey. Good morning, War Monkey. Good morning, Stone Pie Media. And good morning, Kingsport Cow. Good to see you guys. Of course, I love all the monkeys. This is a House of Monkeys, House of Dragons, both. But the single most dangerous monkey is a war monkey, in my opinion. So I am looking and... Okay, I see Bill Barkley. So now I'm going to go to my personal fucking... I have too many Facebook pages. You guys want me to look at things and I'm just not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything anywhere. Okay, I give up. I checked both Facebook accounts and I've checked. Oh, did you fucking go to my dead fucking personal account that I never go to? I'll check that later. I don't have time to do it right now, buddy. I'll check it later. I bet you went to the wrong personal account. This is, look, so you know, this is my personal account. Share screen. This one. My other account I walked away from because there were too many people on it. I had like 4,000 followers at one point, and just it wore me out. And I too many people trying to talk to me during the day, so I went back to my backup account. This account was created because I got banned or put in timeout for like a week, so I created this account so I could have a backup account, and then I live on this account now because it's more fun, not having so many people. I have under 1,000 people on this one. It's so much easier to be happy on this one. So you probably sent it to the other one. So send it to this one. The one I'm pointing at right here has my Star Trek image of my head. So that's the one to contact on Facebook. So boom, stop sharing. So going back to this, what do you think about the potential of us having that? This is a concern of why they don't want to release it, is how inept our vehicles were compared to them.
Okay, I'm going to give you something that I was told maybe 30 years ago. And I got to tell you right up front, no way, Gerry, at all, for any verification.
Right.
This is pure, from my standpoint, pure speculation. All right. But I was told that in the debris of the Roswell crash, that something was found that scared the bejesus out of the people that found it. Now, what might that be? The only thing that ever made sense to me was they found some human bodies that were abducted.
Oh,
okay.
Shit.
Now, imagine 1947. 2 years after the end of the most costly war that we're aware of in all of recorded human history. Recorded. And that goes back only, well, at that point, 6,000, maybe 7,000 years. And this was before things like Göbekli Tepe had been discovered, which goes back much further, 11,000 BCE. We don't know what happened before. Personally, I think a lot happened. But World War II, as far as we were concerned then, was it. We had literally gone from active units of horse cavalry, which my dad was initially in the State Guard in Pennsylvania in 1941, to nuclear weapons in 1945. Look at the technological jump that demonstrated. We were sitting at the top of the pile. We had operational jet aircraft then. We hadn't yet broken the speed barrier, the sound barrier, but we had operational jet aircraft. And suddenly we are confronted with something out of the blue, a technology, if what we think happened at Roswell happened, a technology that was a mind destroyer, okay? Now, if they found ET bodies, and I was told from a firsthand witness in 1994, a guy by the name of Thomas Gonzalez, and I'll have to tell that story sometime, down in Roswell, New Mexico. I met this guy and verified that he, in fact, was an airman, part of the 509th in 1947. He told me he saw 4 bodies, one of them was still alive, that he claimed to me that telepathically communicated with him. Now, as an aside, before I go any further, as an aside, all those firsthand witnesses to that event, whatever that event was, were profoundly changed. Profoundly. Some of them became pure driven alcoholics. Some of them committed suicide. Some of those people were changed forever, divorced, shipped out of the military. I mean, whatever it was, it basically destroyed a lot of lives. Now think about that. It destroyed lives. Now, had they found something on board, that crashed object, like human bodies, can you imagine how the government would have viewed that? That was something that at that point in time, 1947, 48, 49, 50, would have turned our society inside out. So initially, okay, I can understand the government secrecy about it. But as time went on, we became more acclimated to the idea of life beyond this planet. And a lot of it had to do with pop culture. Star Trek, okay, the time tunnel, UFO, okay, the TV series. Later on, Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Star Trek, the Star Trek movies. Suddenly, the idea that there are intelligent life forms out there wasn't quite nearly as devastating as it would have been in 1947. But the military is stuck in its ways. The Air Force has always been lying bastards about this. There is, and you'll verify this being an ex-GI, there is a tremendous service rivalry between various military branches, okay? The Air Force and the Navy. All right. The Navy basically thumbed their nose at the Air Force when they started talking about these UAPs. All right. Have you noticed that in all of this quote unquote soft disclosure, the Air Force has never said one freaking thing about any of this? Have you noticed that?
No, I've always noticed that. Yes, I've always noticed the Air Force's mum's the word.
Yep. So that's something.
So far, the only branch that has openly talked about any of this is the Navy now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And nobody that I'm aware of has approached the Air Force and said, hey, you're the guys originally in charge of all this. What the hell?
That's not accidental. I guarantee you people have approached them and they're not getting anywhere because the Air Force is going to stonewall them. Because I said, who's in charge of fucking Space Force? Air Force. How long has Space Force existed? Because you know as well as I do, it didn't just come around in 2016. That thing's been around as long as Russia's had their Space Force.
And there are knowledgeable people that I've talked to, several that have suggested we have a secret technology that we are out there flying around the solar system willy-nilly in extraordinarily advanced craft. Now, is that true? I can't say. I don't know. Would I dismiss it? Absolutely not.
Because it's part of what, I've said that if it is possible that we have had people on the moon, that's what it's for. And it's not going to be on this side of the moon. It would also be on the dark side of the moon because they would not want to be observed.
Well, we have to be sharing real estate with somebody.
Well, exactly. And this is what's led to a lot of the interesting stuff that I've learned about what you have extensively researched about intelligent life on the moon. So I don't know. I'm not traumatized by any of this. I'm not shocked by any of this.
It's easy to talk about it. Now,
yeah,
being confronted with it might be something else.
Yeah, when we get confronted by the reality of what it is, that's when you might see a shocked look on my face. And the shocked look on my face is not. The shocked look on my face is this.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to process at the same time as trying not to shit myself.
Right.
And because I don't freak out. I really don't freak out. I think you're one of those people too, Don. You just don't freak out. Once you've seen enough, you hit a point where, yeah, I just saw a guy get blown up over there. And then you just walk away and you're like, what the fuck? That was like, isn't that traumatic? It's like, oh, it was traumatic the first couple times. And it just after a certain point where you just process it as just more shit that just happened. And
that's what the man said. The wise old man told me years ago. He said, son, shit happens.
Shit happens.
And that's it.
And most often right here. But I got to tell you, I think I blame the Air Force and the CIA for this, that society has been told so many times to go on about its business. Nothing's happening here. They've come to the point where when something happens, they just go, oh, it's just more stuff that they're going to tell us not to worry about.
Back in this was after I got back from Vietnam, and I saw in Vietnam, Gary, as you can imagine, I'm sure, I saw a lot of shit that still to this day I'm processing. But a movie came out around, what was it, 73, 4, 75, that I went to see, and I'll tell you what, it just struck me as right on, brother, right on. It was called 3 Days of the Condor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that movie. Redford. That movie is in my top 20 list of favorite films of all time.
That was a movie that I totally could buy into because I saw that first freaking hand. I saw it.
And I've met people like that. Alex, I've actually met people like the Max von Sydow character that really just like they didn't freak me out, but I didn't want to get friendly with them because they made me uncomfortable because I knew what they were. And sadly, I know somebody today that's done stuff like that, and they're in my life, and I just it's just something I know. It's something I know that I don't talk about because it's like you don't talk about that stuff.
Well, for anybody that may not be familiar with that film, and you have
watch it, go watch it.
Yeah, you have an interest in how deep down and dirty politics and intelligence agencies can get. Track it down. 3 Days of the Condor, which was actually taken from a novel called
10 Days of the Condor. No, it's 10 Days of the Condor.
Was it 10 days?
I think it's 10 days.
We have a
let me double
speaker.
check. Yeah, I know. I'm going to get to it. I just didn't want to interrupt our flow here. Sidney Pollack was the director of this, by the way. Just amazing. But I want to get the book. Where is the book? I'm looking it up right now. Based on the book. You're right. 6 days. 6 days of the Condor. And they shortened it down to 3 days because of, to be honest with you, I really don't know why they shortened it down to 3 days. Because they could make 6 days look like 3 days. But the title was changed. And it is one of my two favorite 70s espionage thriller films. That one and the second film that I put right in the same category is the film Marathon Man, which I fuck, man. Both those films, killers are. Oh.
You noticed what the main protagonist of the 3 Days of the Condor, you noticed what he was packing, right?
Oh, his weapon? No, I didn't notice that. What was it?
1911.
Well, yeah, that's the best fucking gun ever made. Handgun. Best handgun ever made. And I gave a whole story on it one day explaining the existence of why that pistol came into existence, because the Bulldog and Webley were good at killing those Filipino Muslims that were jumping out of the trees with machetes, but they would still fall on top of the soldier and kill them in the Philippines at the turn of the century.
Well, they went back. They actually reissued single action Army 45
revolvers, but it led to the 1911 being made, right? Because they wanted one that was easier to load, faster to load, and could fire faster. Right. And the automatic fires faster than a revolver because there's less action going on with the hammer. So the 1911 came into existence because of that. But they returned to the old Colt 45 pistol revolver to use in the Philippines, because they were trying to figure out, how the fuck are we going to stop these guys from killing our men? We were shooting them in the air, but they would die but still fall with their machete going right down into the soldier. And so they said, get a 45, because a 45 does it's sort of referred to as the hydraulic effect, because it's such a slow, it's a smaller load, bigger bullet. So it moves slow and it punches, it doesn't pierce. It is specifically designed to drag air in front of it, gas. And when it hits the subject, it hits like a double fist and actually makes them turn or flip in the air. And that's why they found it useful.
And when the Army went to the Beretta 92F in 1985-86, I turned to my friends and I said, you've got to be bullshitting me. Instead of a 45, well, the 45 is old. Yeah, it is. 1911. But guess what? It works. I used one. I know it works.
Fuck yeah. You have to fire 2 or 3 shots sometimes to take a target down with a 9mm. You shoot a person with a single 45 round, they're done. they're done.
Usually, yeah. Well,
I've never heard a case where someone hit with a 45 finished whatever it was they were trying to do, because it just it knocks them back, it knocks them down, it flips them.
But the thing about the 9mm that in the military, they weren't using hollow points; they were using
ball
full
ammunition,
metal jacket. Yes, ball, and it zips through you. It's over 1,100 feet a second, in and out, boom, and you're sitting there with a pencil-sized hole in you, but you can still do the dirty deed.
Yep. And with the 45, like I said, it's sort of like getting punched rather than getting shot by a regular bullet. And it does so much more organ damage. 45 is just an excellent weapon for self-defense, period. Stone Pie Media, Matt, thanks a lot, buddy, for the coffee thing. Cheers to you, mate. Cheers to you. Super sticker. For you, I'm going to play a video. Let me find it here. Share. No, I'm not going to do that one. Hold on. Cancel. I'm going to share a video. Share. Video. Here we go. And you're going to get this. This is a new one that I haven't uploaded yet.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea we had a racist working here. I apologize.
I fucking love that video. I love Monty Python, man. Thank you, Stone Pie Media. You're a good friend. Look forward to seeing you this weekend, buddy. Really looking forward to seeing you, man. You need to come to our booth so we can stream with you. That's why you see those people getting shot in Western films turn spin when they shot. Yeah. Though Hollywood over dramatizes it. That's one thing I love about Dale Dye. Dale Dye brought realistic deaths to war films. When people get shot, and what you've seen it, what it does, it turns off your central nervous system. And you look like one of those puppets with the button underneath and the strings hold them together, and you push the button and it collapses. That's what a human looks like when they get shot, 99% of the time. It's a shock, trauma to the system. And people who die from bullet wounds. I saw a guy firsthand die from being shot in the foot with a .22 long rifle. Got shot in the foot, died from it. He went into shock. And in the middle of going into shock, while we're trying to treat him, fucking coded. I broke ribs on that guy trying to save him. He fucking died. People don't understand bullets do more than just hit you. They do something else to the sympathetic nerve system. They hit your volume, your blood volume. It can cause hypovolemic shock, psychogenic shock. God, man, bullets. Yeah, warfare. And a man who knows what it's like to be shot is Don Ecker. So I'm like preaching to the choir on what that's like. And somebody told me, a buddy of mine that was shot in combat told me that he says he heard that women, when they have babies, actually don't remember the pain, that the brain blocks it. And he said it was the same thing with him, that he remembers being shot, but he doesn't remember the pain. He just remembers all the pain afterward from it.
Yeah.
The systemic pain. Is it that way with you? Was it that way with you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I got hit with a shotgun blast.
12 gauge to the leg.
And it should have killed me. As a matter of fact, I'm.
Well, you suffered a traumatic amputation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It should have killed me, but it didn't. So.
You're too.
My
you're
wife
too mean
says,
as I said to my dad, you're too mean a bastard to die.
My wife says, "You're made of sterner stuff." Okay, honey.
Did you say I'm made of sterno?
Yeah, that too.
How did you get that footage of Amazon? What is this? 3 Days of the Condor, the conversation.
No,
I like the conversation too. I got to be honest. That movie, because what's amazing in that film is how fucked up the main protagonist is at the end of that movie because of what he does for a living. He tears all the walls down in his fucking apartment knowing he's being wiretapped. And he can't find anything. It's drove him crazy. That is a really good fucking film. I will tell you that, The Conversation. But somebody said something about Amazon. I didn't catch that. What was they talking about?
About the video the thank you video you use for the super sticker. You went, oh, sorry for the races.
That is from Monty Python, The Meaning of Life. It is The Meaning of Life Part B, The Meaning of Life. And it is right after the Mr. Creosote exploding scene where he's eating too much. It's just a wafer thin mint. Plants it on his tongue, pushes his tongue in, and goes, bon appetit, and then runs for cover because he knows he's going to explode. Fucking crazy movie. I love that film. Was he on cocaine? Who? The guy. Wait, I'm not understanding it. God damn it. A shotgun?
I guess it's about the guy who.
It was, yeah, because that's, I mean, do you want to tell the story or not? Because I don't want to press you on that. Of what led to the shooting. Yeah.
My shooting?
Yeah, when you got shot. Do you want to tell what happened, what led to it? Yep.
No.
Sorry, guys. Fuck off. You'll never know.
That's not something you like to relive, okay?
There you go. Because I never wanted to ask you, but they were like bugging out in the chat, and it's like, nope, we're going to leave that alone. You got to go, Magic Tech.
You writing my fucking biography?
You writing my biography? Every day, baby, I'm writing the book. Elvis Costello.
No. He was asking about this.
Oh, no. You have to watch the movie. It's The Conversation by Francis Ford Coppola. Really, outside of The Godfather, in my opinion, the second best or third best film he ever made. Because he made 1 and 2. Third one doesn't count. And then The Conversation. And then the last good film he made was Bram Stoker's Dracula. But that thing is so chock full of continuity errors, it drove me crazy watching it. But I love that film. And that's the last thing Coppola made that was worth a damn. Everything else has been garbage. Coppola didn't write. He
Apocalypse Now was interesting.
Oh shit! I always forget about that film. But that's John Milius. John Milius, fuck man, I worship that guy. Didn't serve a goddamn day in his life, but he's got the heart of a warrior. You'd swear this guy had served in some great war with the way he talks about war and warriors, and he somehow fundamentally understands the mindset of the warrior. And he tried going in, and he was 4F. He was 4F, and they wouldn't take him. I feel bad for him because he really wanted to serve. But a guy like him probably would have been killed. So in many ways, thank God he didn't serve, because he gave us one of the best Vietnam War films, even though I don't think Francis Ford Coppola knew one fucking thing he was doing with that film. Milius did.
The great
and even
Lebowski.
And Michael Herr, yes, that's right. He was the inspiration for that character. But Michael Herr was the other co-writer on that film. He wrote all the narration for Coppola on that film. And I loved it when Coppola was interviewed. And they said, how much of that film is you and how much of it is John Milius? He says, you know all those scenes that you like to quote? And the guy interviewing goes, yes. He goes, those were all written by Milius. So Coppola knew not to have an ego with that film because he just added stuff here and there for flavor. Milius wrote the meat of that fucking script.
You want to get a sense of Milius? Watch the movie with the dude, The Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski. Fucking love that film, man. He is absolutely an homage to John Milius, and they even made him kind of look like him, which I thought was cool. That Goodman had the beard cut the exact same way Milius did, the crew cut, all that shit. Fucking cool. I'm not a big fan of that film because I thought it was lazily written. But I love the character of the dude, and I really
Jeff
love
Bridges was brilliant.
He's brilliant in that fucking film. He really is. You give him anything. Boys in Company C is a very good Vietnam War film, but it lacked, I don't know what it was. It lacked the realism.
I'm
like
watching
Hamburger
The
Hill.
Old Man right now. The Old
That
Man.
show is really fucking good, dude.
Yeah.
I like his fight scenes. And what's interesting is Keith and I talked about it because do you know that is actually what John Wick was supposed to be?
An old
He was
man?
supposed to be a guy in his 60s to 70s that comes out of retirement. And somehow it got reworked and it became Keanu Reeves, who's physically able to do those things. Whereas in the original script, he was more like the old man who can still do some of these things, but gets fucking worn out and has to take a fucking moment after he kills like 2 or 3 guys. He's like, fuck, I'm done in.
That's why you pack a 1911. That's why.
Right. And I think my favorite scene, have you gotten to the sniper scene at the house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I have.
That
Now-
scene and the very first scene in the foyer, when the dogs have him down and he walks up and he asks him one question. When he doesn't get an answer, what does he do? He just
Bang.
kills him because he knows he's not going to get an answer out of this guy because the guy knows he's in trouble. He knows the threat against him and he's not going to talk. And if he's not going to talk now, he's not going to talk later. Don't waste your time on him. And he just kills him. Remove the threat.
Yeah.
And that is something that we talk about in films. When you see guys let other guys live, I'm like, that is always unrealistic. The only reason you do it is if it's for tactical reasons. Past that, you remove every threat. And you don't walk along leaving weapons on the ground either. If it's a weapon that you can pick up, you grab it because you know you're limited ammo. That drives me crazy. Want to see the best film about espionage in Southeast Asia in the 60s? Watch Mel Gibson. Yeah, The Day of Living, or it's not The Day of Living Dangerously. It's Living Dangerously, I think, or they changed the title to it. Now I got Year of Living Dangerously. That's what they called it. Yeah, it's a damn good film. Mel Gibson's still one of my favorite actors. And he doesn't just always play himself. Unlike Harrison Ford and some of those other movie stars, he actually can act. My dad was a drill sergeant. Every time I see the scene with Ermey is chewing Washington's ash for being a team player, I think, oh, yeah. Well, Ermey, that was his first movie. And if you'll notice, if you go back to that film, that was before he got his teeth fixed. He used the money from that film to fix his teeth so he could get more film jobs because he had fucked up tobacco teeth. Because he was a chewer and a smoker. He chewed the shit out of tobacco during the Vietnam years. I don't know if you knew that about Don. Don.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he was a big tobacco guy. And so if you watch him in those scenes in Boys of Company C, he's got his teeth are fucked up. And that's what he was a big tobacco guy. And that's what happens to him. You meet a lot of those guys in the old military, man, big tobacco guys. There's a lot less tobacco in the military today, and I don't think it's because of the
Did I ever tell
bullshit.
you about my drill sergeant in basic?
Now I'm going to tell you, I know that in the Vietnam era, they laid hands on him, so I'm looking forward to hearing this.
This is a honest to God true story. When I enlisted in the Army, the enlistment sergeant, the guy at the Army recruiting center, the recruiter, said, "Look," he said, "if you leave right away, I can guarantee," because I was from Pennsylvania, right?
Right.
No. I can guarantee you I can get you to Fort Dix in New Jersey. You won't be that far away from home. Otherwise, you're probably going to get sent somewhere down south. And I told him, I said, "Oh, that's cool. I'd never been down there. I'd love to go." So I get notified my date of leaving, and I go in, I get sworn in. They tell me when I'm going to be leaving, and they're sending me to Fort Dix. So I went to New Jersey anyway. So I get over there. Okay. Now, if you remember, well, I imagine it was the same for you. When I first went over there, I was as nervous as a June bride, man. I was, what the hell's going to happen? Now, my old man had been a lifer. He was a big bastard, 6'2", senior chief warrant officer. Okay. Had been around the block, 2 wars, World War II, Korea. And I thought I knew what the military was all about. Wrong. So I get over there. I get put into this platoon. And our drill sergeant comes in. Young guy. He was maybe 24 years old. Staff sergeant. Had a chest full of ribbons. Had just gotten back from Vietnam. Had gone through the drill instructor school, the drill sergeant school. And his name was Staff Sergeant Richard Reeder. Oh, okay. All right. I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, I don't want to piss this son of a bitch off. I'm young. I'm 19. Okay, cool. So one of the first things he asked, now this is a part that's going to be unbelievable. He said, is anybody here from Altoona, Pennsylvania? I was. Well, Reeder was from Tyrone, Pennsylvania, which was 15 miles down the road.
Right.
Big rivalries between Tyrone and Altoona. But that wasn't the good part. The good part was he had quit high school to go into the Army. He might have been a senior, but probably 11th grade. And you could do that back in those days. I guess you could do it now, but he had quit high school to enlist in the Army. He was a student of Tyrone High School. And guess what? My mother's sister, Aunt Phyllis, loved the lady, was an English teacher, and she taught at Tyrone High School. And she had Reeder as one of her students.
Huh.
Now, if you can imagine a more boring class, if you're in that mindset, than freaking English class, you tell me what it was. And like a dumbass, I said, oh, my aunt was a teacher down there. What was her name? And I told him, he said, I had her. Ecker, I got my eye on you.
Oh, man.
Oh,
man, this is a
yeah.
fun episode. It's been 2 hours. It's already been 2 hours. I was going to make it a short episode, and it's like, no chance now. It's already 2 hours. Holy crap. Fun show, Don. I always love having you on, man. I will give you my experience. Once you go into the Army, you go into an area called reception. This is the basic training shit. You go in there, you live in a barracks, you have sergeants. Almost all these sergeants have a hard-on for you because they're either failed drill sergeants or drill sergeants got knocked down a rank. Okay, so they've all got fucking attitudes. But nothing fazed me. I didn't give two shits what they said to me. And technically we're only supposed to be there for a few days. And we get stuck there for an extra week because the training party in front of us, they had a delay due to weather. So they did an extra week of basic training. And so we got stuck there with these guys. And finally, we go to basic, our first day of basic, and we're moved over by cattle truck. And if anybody's been in the Army, There's no fancy way to travel in the Army. You think, oh, it'll be like deuce and a half. No, it's not World War II, dude. You get put inside of an actual cattle truck. The slatted fucking metal and all that shit. They just have ugly high school benches inside that you sit on. And you everywhere during training, that's how you get transported, is by cattle truck. And we hit the frenzy, the one I'm talking about when you first hit basic, the drill sergeant shark frenzy thing. And they're yelling at you, get off my truck, and you don't fucking hesitate. You get the fuck off that truck. And I'd met this guy named Condon. And I actually asked him, I said, what's your name? He says, Condon. I looked at him, I said, do me a favor and stay away from me while you're in basic, because your name is just begging to be fucked with. And he first fucking thing he does, he grabs the
Kissel, kiss my ass, Kissel.
Nobody fucked with me, my name, nobody. But it was so fucking funny, man. He grabbed the stripper pole bar to step out of the truck. Huge mistake. Get the fuck off the truck. Jump. Don't care if you fall down. Jump. No, he wanted to gracefully, gently step down. And every drill sergeant just honed in on this guy. And then I heard, what's your name, boy? And you hear, Condon, drill sergeant, because you're supposed to say drill sergeant, Condon, drill sergeant, open with drill sergeant, in with drill sergeant. And he does that. And the guy says, your parents really named you that? Jesus Christ, prophylactic condom. And I went, I told you, you have a fucked up name. But then we get in there and they take their hats off. You're in the barracks. You've dropped your gear off. All your civilian shit's put in the big lockup. And you sit down in this room. It's a classroom. And they take their hat off and they want to get to know you. We had one drill sergeant was doing this. And he sat down and he went around the room finding out names of everybody. It was a very relaxed thing. It was something I did not know happened in the Army. I'm like, what the fuck is this about? And so he goes to the guy right next to him, who happens to be from my hometown. And that's why your story reminds me of this. And he gets all the way around to me and he asks, and where are you from? And I said, originally, he says, yes. And I said, sperm. Very dry, very straight faced. And he looked at me for a second, his face went, and then he gets that look like, after that, I said, birth canal? and he just laughed and he looked at me and goes, you're going to be trouble, aren't you? All right. Where do you hail from? I said, I'm from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And he goes, Fredericksburg. And he looks at the guy next to me, aren't you from there? And then I began the biggest mindfuck moment of the event. I said, yes, I followed him into the military because he was dating my sister. And my sister disappeared into a cult. And then he left the cult and joined the Army. And I'm trying to find out where my sister is. And absolutely, I did not talk to this guy before this happened. He says, I told you I don't know what happened to her. The drill sergeant was so freaked out at this point going, are you guys fucking with me? And I went, yeah, drill sergeant, we've never met. Not everybody from the same town know each other. That was my first day of basic training. And I ended up a fucking squad leader because the drill sergeant liked that I had my shit together. And I knew how, and like, one of them even said to me, he says, none of this freaks you out, does it? I said, you guys have nothing on my father. My father would lay hands on me if I fucked up. You guys, you threaten it, but you don't. Even though they did one time. They did one time. I caught him doing it. Guy grabbed the guy, cuffed him. Not grabbed him by the neck, but cuffed him on the back of the neck. And as he went falling forward, he grabbed him. And then took him the rest of the way to the ground. And dragged him into his office. And I heard like, that boy is getting his ass beat right now. And he deserved it. He was a fucking idiot. But I felt bad going through basic because I expected what my brother told me and what my dad told me. And I didn't get that. I mean, it was fun. It was more fun to me than it was anything else. The threat of the war didn't even freak me out because they were threatening us every day that they may deploy you straight from basic. I said, I know that won't happen. We have to go to AIT. even if you switch us all to infantry, we would have to go to advanced infantry training. They're not going to ship us over straight from boot.
Well, I'll tell you how messed up I was. I started volunteering for Vietnam from day one, and they thought I was nuts. They thought
there are a lot of
crazy.
guys like that. There are a lot of guys like us. I volunteered to go to Iraq. I'll go front line. Put me up there. I'm older than everybody. I was 26 when I went in. Everybody else was like 18 or 19. You know, we had one 17-year-old, my buddy Kyle Fisher. He wasn't allowed to be deployed until he turned 18. And he ended up getting deployed away from me. He was with another unit, and he got wounded by an IED in his Humvee. It had the door open when it went off, and it hit him. And he's still active duty right now. He hasn't retired yet. I love that guy. He was the guy who wrote on his helmet band, I love my fearless squad leader, which was me. I was such a fucking asshole. I would just stand up to any NCO officer because I would throw their logic back at them and knew what they were saying better than they did. And then they would get really flummoxed with me. And the funniest one was when a full-bird colonel tried to fuck with me at an air show. I was sent there for site support as a medic. And I'm there, and this guy tells me to climb up a fucking pole, and I'm like, no. He's like, what do you mean, no? I said, I'm medical. The only person that can order me up that pole is a senior medical officer. I can tell you what to do as a medic. And he's like, what the fuck did you say to me? I said, do you really want me to repeat it? He went away and never came back because I knew he found out what I said was true, that he couldn't do shit to me. I'm sure he fucking hated me though. But I want to thank you again.
You don't want to piss off a colonel as a rule.
No, they will fuck your career up. But when you're a medical person, it's hard to fuck your career up because medical officers are usually, I got to be honest with you, if you've ever met them, they're really not the most military motherfuckers you know. They're really not. The MASH books really did represent medical officers very well. You know, and I love that about them because I could get away with so much shit because of it. We were the first reserve unit to get Humvees. My first sergeant yelled at me. He was, I think, either Indian or Pakistani. I can't remember, but his accent was just like that in that area, that region. And he was telling me how the Humvee is, you cannot get it stuck. It is, and I said, I could totally get this thing stuck. And he goes, no, it is impossible. And I actually took it as a challenge. And so 10 minutes later, I stuck the Humvee we were in. I was driving. And I'd never heard somebody from Pakistan use so many American cuss words after I did it. And I know he wanted to kill me, so I asked somebody else to drive him the rest of the way instead of me because I didn't want him mad at me anymore. But I took it and I went down a ravine and I bounced it corner to corner in a ravine with a 45-degree grade.
I told you when I fucked up a convoy in basic training, didn't I?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But tell it again. I don't think you told it here.
I don't know how many weeks we were into basic. We were, I forget now, 10 or 12 weeks was the entire course. Probably 3 or 4 weeks. And one day, this guy came down. He was an NCO. And he said, can anybody here drive? Oh, hell yeah, I drive. So I stuck my hand up. And he says, I want you to take this deuce and a half, the 2.5 ton truck. I want you to take it from point A to point B, wherever the hell it was. Now, this is on Fort Dix, right?
Right.
So I say, yes, Sergeant. So I go out and I get in the truck and I fire it up. And I'm driving. And I know where I got to go. And I come down to a stop sign. And there's this line of vehicles driving down the street, on from left to right. And I've got to go right. So I waited until there was an opening, and I shot out into the opening. Well, I'm just driving along. Suddenly, this MP Jeep comes screaming up, pull that over. MP, Jesus Christ. What the hell? So I'm nervous, right? I pull the truck over, and this MP comes up, and he starts chewing my ass. And you know what you did? No. You broke into a convoy. You never break into a convoy. Well, I wasn't even sure what a goddamn convoy was, to tell you the truth. And I said, well, I was ordered to take this truck, and I take it over here. And I saw an opening, and I pulled in it. So he realized he had some dipshit trainee. Okay. Now, why the hell they would have had me drive that truck is beyond me. But he said, all right, you wait till the convoys pass. So the rest of them drove past, and I said, oh, shit. So I drove it over there.
That's amazing shit, dude. Well, I need to do a quick thank you to everybody. Gap After Dark, previously The Gap Between My Teeth, Das Wolfen, Scott Lewis, Monkey Jeebus, thank you, come again, Dr. Dragon, D. Bud Martin, Mr. Tickle Trunk, Lord Thoth, all hail Lord Thoth, Wajid Leakey, Christopher Carroll, Glenn Fleming, Glenn Fleming. Anyway, Anima Confusa, the love of my life, The Dork Knight, Mexican Iron Man, someone who's very close to my heart, Mikey. Six was here. It's always good to see you, Six. Penny, who is Dork Knight's mom. We love you too. We saw your notes, and I told Keith what you said. Stone Pie Media, who is my buddy Matt, and Fletcher Williams, CJ Bat Punk, Magitech Mags, the adorable. She is so adorable. She is. War Monkey, one of my three favorite monkeys. Kingsport Cal, one of my favorite Tennesseans. Zax, a.k.a. Cal, and Joe's Atmosphere, who is a fellow veteran. And Kingsport Cal, I'm not surprised. I read what you said. The military, it goes through weird phases. If they're in heavy need, they'll take people who have had felonies. But for the most part, in a volunteer military, they tend to not accept felony. And if you can go get your felony expunged by a judge, they'll take you. But past that, they just, most of the time, they just ignore people who've been in jail. But I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Don Ecker for making the show run really fast, dude. 2 hours. Wow, that went by quickly. You can tell you're a great old radio pro. You can also tell because this is all you can see your face.
Well, I've been told I've got a face for radio, so there you go.
I want to thank everybody for watching the show. Where, what I find interesting is, like, we'll get what looks like low numbers for day one, but by the first week, we're closer to 200 views for this show, which for a show like ours, a grassroots show, that's really good. We've grown so much in leaps and bounds over the last 3 years simply by word of mouth. We don't advertise, we don't promote, we don't pay for anything. We do everything by the book. The way you're supposed to do these shows is build your audience organically and normal. Because when you promote and advertise, that's where you get in trouble with people. You get the people who are troublemakers that want to cancel you. And so by doing it this way, we tend not to have that. And I want to thank all of you because I know every single one of you do your part in sharing the show, talking about the show, and we appreciate it, man. It's so wonderful. But keep reminding people UFO Wednesday, and most of the time, hopefully with Don Ecker being here because he makes this show so much better. It's, as my brother Michael, my late brother Michael would say, more better.
More better. Gooder.
And he would do
more
it,
gooder.
He would do it like this. It makes it more better. He would do this ducklet thing when he do it. He was an MP, by the way.
I prefer more gooder.
More gooder. It's more gooder. But I want to thank everybody for being here today. And gosh, golly, what a good show. I'm going to play one more video because I love coffee.
Hey, here's your free cup of coffee from a lady in Rhode Island. What?
We're going to do an after show, right?
Yes, we're going to hang out. I'm actually going to get up and pee because I drank 2 cups of 32-ounce cups.
I gotta get rid of some coffee, so I'm gonna do it now.
Okay, let's go ahead and end the show here, and we're going to take our bathroom breaks. See you guys in the after show.